Get this, Donald Trump gifted COVID machines to Vladimir Putin, and he still keeps up with his Russian buddy. Chris Graham here, Augusta Free Press. So Donald Trump, back when he was president, sent his buddy over in Russia, Vladimir Putin, a batch of COVID test machines for Putin's private use. And he kept it secret at the request of Putin, who warned Trump, quote, I don't want you to tell anybody because people will get mad at you, not me. They don't care about me. He's actually right about that. But how do you like them apples, huh? Some of us are old enough to remember Trump making Democratic governors at the outset of the pandemic literally beg him publicly for COVID materials, for ventilators, for PPP. And then here he was just giving away stuff to the dictator of a country with thousands of nuclear missiles pointed at us. What a world we live in. Here's the response of Kamala Harris to that news. This guy who was president of the United States is sending them to Russia to a murderous dictator for his personal use? That's what she told Howard Stern yesterday. Now, the revelation about the COVID test machine gift comes from a new book by journalist Bob Woodward, some excerpts of which were released on Tuesday. Team Trump, of course, threw out a denial of the Putin COVID machine anecdote and another tidbit from Woodward's book, a book about Trump having had 7 personal private phone calls with Putin since leaving the White House in 2021. Here's a quote from Stephen Chung, the communications director for the Trump campaign. None of these made up stories by Bob Woodward are true and are the work of a truly demented and deranged man who suffers from a debilitating case of Trump derangement syndrome. There are people with Trump derangement syndrome, but they're on the other side of the divide here. Let's just say that. More from this Stephen Chung guy. Woodward is an angry little man and is clearly upset because President Trump is successfully suing him because of the unauthorized publishing of recordings he made previously. Okay, he's suing him, successfully suing. You're not successfully suing until you win. Trump doesn't know much about winning legal cases. And then this Chung guy calling anybody a little man. He called Bob Woodward a little man. I couldn't find anywhere online where a list of what Bob Woodward's height is, so he might be short. But Stephen Chung, I did find he's 5'10". Not exactly somebody who should be calling somebody a little man. More quotes from this Chung fellow. President Trump gave him absolutely no access for this trash book that either belongs in a bargain bin of the fiction section of a discount bookstore or used as toilet tissue. A book used as toilet tissue. A hardcover, hopefully not. Woodward is a total sleazeback who lost it all mentally. Chung knows someone who's a total sleazeback who's lost it all mentally. And he's slow, lethargic, incompetent, and overall a boring person with no personality. Again, this Chung guy's not even 6 feet tall. Those of us old enough to remember Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein breaking the Watergate story that led to the resignation of Richard Nixon have other ideas on the quality of Woodward's reporting, particularly vis-a-vis the truthiness of Trump, who either did or didn't visit Gaza, the latest among the millions of his public lies. This is just what this guy does. The insults being key to the response, though, say a lot. We got something similar from J.D. Vance, Trump's Mike Pence stand-in, fated like Pence to be thrown to the MAGA wolves when the campaign falls flat next month. Here's a quote from the smug as usual Vance when a reporter asked him a question. I honestly didn't even know that Bob Woodward was still alive until you just asked me that question. That's what Vance had to say. What little I know about Bob Woodward is that he is, and I'm going to use this, I'm going to use a word here. He is a hack. This guy's a hack, said Vance, who we only know because of his hack bestseller, spinning his middle class upbringing in the Midwest as somehow making him an expert on poor people in Appalachia. Hack. More revealing, Vance sees nothing wrong with the idea of Trump palling around with Putin. So here's where we get to the truth. Even if it's true. Look, is there something wrong with speaking to world leaders? No. Is there anything wrong with engaging in diplomacy, Vance said, ignoring the obvious that it is an issue and, in fact, a possible federal crime. There's something called the Logan Act. You can't just call up world leaders and make diplomatic gestures to them. When you're a private citizen, you just can't do that. But then again, this is Trump. Here's what Harris had to say back on the Howard Stern show. I believe Donald Trump has this desire to be a dictator. Well, she believes it because he said he would be a dictator. He admires strong men and he gets played by them because he thinks that they're his friends and they are manipulating him full time and manipulating him with flattery and favor. She later added, "You're getting played." And some would say, "Look, I grew up in the neighborhood." Some would say, "You're getting punked." Yeah, that checks it. For more news on the world scene, U.S. scene, local news for Stanton, Waynesboro, Augusta County, Virginia, Virginia news, sports news, you can go to AugustaFreePress.com. And if you've got news tips, you just want to discuss an issue with me, please feel free to drop me an email at chris@AugustaFreePress.com.